All right. So
So
anyway,
one thing that we're speaking to is on the subject of, let's say, many different available tasks. And in this case, identifying them and then prioritizing them. So it's a very
right,
interesting sequence as it
right,
relates to micro tasks, midterm and long term. And so you and I just did a micro, but the goals of the group short term are not micro tasks. They're
oh,
just short.
sure, sure. Because basically, I got brought into it through a micro task situation. You know, when Jesse basically, when I realized they're struggling with this video translation, I was like, man, I've got this software, but I don't really like. I'm not necessarily an expert in language translation, but I don't speak any other language than anything. I'm just thoughtful.
I do. And there's more questions than answers, and they continue to surface, and that's okay. So
Right,
that's part of our goal is to scope, scope, scope. Now that's not on our roadmap, obviously, but that is within the culture or the breed of our team. That's why I loved the way our team came together, because it was easy. It
right,
spoke to the typical kind of internal conversation that you're having and sharing with me. So we
right.
can we can easily dialogue rather than get swept up in the music,
Right.
because
No, I totally see that because
yeah,
it's like I fell right in and you understood exactly what I was thinking. And you're already thinking about it. And I'm like, cool. Because, I already looked at the Pomelo pitch for Translate Me and stared at it for quite some time.
oh yes, and keep in mind that's a pitch for a small portion of the larger foundation.
Right. Well, and
That
I totally think that like with this API tool, if we start packaging it right with the right other kind, because the way I look at it is right now we're dealing with sort of like a moving target in terms of what solutions we provide may not necessarily like things change a lot. It's just
can you
like
get it on paper?
with that.
Are you able to get it on paper?
Well, I was just about to start mapping out everything today because I have so many different things going through my head. I need
You're
to
doing
just
pretty good with the chat. So I grabbed like 2 or 3 good ideas already. Oscar, same. And we're going to go 3D virtual between myself and our other member. And so
that's
we'll
awesome. I love to join on board with that. I'm just at a limited constraint of budget and hardware. But
yeah, and it's exciting finding out where we are in all of it. And with this spreadsheet or your input, say with these 3 good ideas or 4 or whatever, and Oscar, same. All of those are candidates on the board. We're basically exploring how Fractally works. We're exploring how human coordination works as a function of governance. So basically, if you crack human coordination, you crack governance. If you crack governance, then you crack basically doing whatever, being able to preserve whatever rights you consider are right.
right, right. And so along that line, what I've been cooking on I'm like just spinning around in my head is this whole thing with the EOS Nation and the onboarding of junior developers and possibly contacting Vincent and suggesting the idea or just looking at what level of openness that he may have into expanding it to where we're not just contacting them to get involved with developing smart contracts, but if you want to learn about and test out fractal democracy, because Chuck McDonald was a big proponent of using the Eden election and open sourcing it. What better environment than with students to where they can
So what I would ask,
we could do a dual purpose, like you want to get involved with Fractally, you want to get involved with Eden elections, like having a roadmap to allow these students from every language in the world to have
so
a pathway into POS.
here's what we're wanting to do as a team, as it's recommendable from me and in my early input on us and what we're doing, limited to almost brainstorm, but effectively implementing a brainstorm. So you'd say kind of suggestions / recommendations, but bottom line is what we want to do when we are able to bring these information items to the larger communities, because there's many within this. You got Chuck and what he's doing, the Eden, the Fractally, the translation pieces, the bees, all this stuff. We want to put a brand on every single thing we do that says EOS Translation Foundation. Because if we say to Chuck, your problem is really communication or whatever, it keeps boiling down to a very core element of opening up the bandwidth of our original mission. Increasing bandwidth across communities. Okay, different language speaking communities, but that's okay. We're not the communication foundation, but we could be. So I just want to say,
well, that need could arise and be demonstrated and need to be filled by somebody.
yeah. And if we did, it would probably confuse people. Hey, we're the communication foundation. Yeah. So we got a translation foundation that starts to be able to, you and I can put this stuff in the group. And what I want to do is I want to plug it into a tokenization remunerative model so we all begin to receive back value for our contributions.
Yeah, no, I love that. I just don't know how it works.
We're going to build it. That's why we're testing Fractally. We want this thing to go to market in a year. We want it to be on a market, and we want people to buy the most productive groups, and we're going to be those.
Hey, you want to hear something funny? Side note, you know about the Trust EVM, right?
Very well.
Okay. Well, last night I was on the new Telegram channel, and there was an Ethereum developer who joined it, and he was asking questions because he wanted to deploy a smart contract on the testnet. He got booted from the group because of the Rose, the anti-bot bot, the bot that's supposed to prevent spam bots, ended up booting this guy because he was posting too many comments and posting links. It reminds me of something that happened to me. And so he gets booted from the group, and he's still trying to ask questions. And so I'm like, can we let him back in? And I'm like tagging Zach and Yves and whoever's admins. Well, what ends up happening is we can't get him in, but through that process, he actually got his faucet thing working. And he was saying it's a lot faster from just how it feels compared to Ethereum. And
so the original objective of ours to onboard a new developer was a success?
Well, as of last night, this guy knew nothing really about EOS because of what happened. I started messaging him directly and tried to help get him back into the channel or answer questions or relay, screenshots back and forth or whatever. But it turns out the guy is doesn't really know much about what's going on with EOS. He just heard about the CDM thing.
Yeah, I hear you all day. That's a great story. Hey,
it's interesting.
Can you put that as an item on a notes list for Saturday?
What's the actual item?
The item is basically you ran patterns like a motherfucker for a potential developer for onboarding.
Yeah. In fact, the thing is I don't know where you're at, but I have a friend who is an excellent coder and very well-rounded, good thinker. And I was talking to him about this translation team and seeing if the need comes up and we could use someone like you, or if you want to get involved, I'd rather get you involved earlier so you don't have to catch up with,
He falls into a candidacy of a very important person that we would make our sixth member. A fifth is coming as a German from what we're building. We talked about, everybody kind of concurred. It's a go. Right. And this guy you're talking about would be a sixth, no question. I mean, there might be a hard stop at 8. I mean, you know what I mean? Like you said, the smaller, the better.
There's no need for redundancy is the way I look at it. Just be efficient and not create more variables and hassles than need be.
Yeah, so how about what's the verdict on your friend? Would you want him to join or not?
Oh, gosh, if I could get him involved with us, absolutely. But the thing is he's a real cynic, and he's very I don't know.
What does he think about our 4 main purpose items?
He's not even at a place to I haven't even had a time to communicate with him. We have a time set up on Monday where I'm going to go over what I have been doing with you guys and just showing him the back end interface for that. Because basically what I was looking at is, hey, let's build another front end cloud hosted translation thing based on the Translate Me API, like the thing I'm using, but make it better. If is it, I don't know, because I don't know what you guys got in works or what plans, but.
Oh yeah, and that's where I'll tell you for now a year, going on a year and a half, I've been working with Translate Me in order to first just look at what they've got. Because I hear neural network and I hear tokenized rewards and I go, yes, yes, you're on, done.
Right.
Because that stuff doesn't exist. Okay. It's brand new. It's great. So then we move into a place of, hey guys, I think we can work into funding toward, say, end of last year because everything was getting crystallized in terms of funding streams.
Okay.
So then time went by and I tested their functions, and my tests personally were not just good, they were great. So what I ended up doing was communicating with a few different language speaking groups through what they put together in terms of just workflow, and it worked really well. Now realize these guys are in the long tail of building, so their algorithms that I tested, 90%, they were 90% of them were Google APIs. 10% was their neural network product. Their neural network product was fine. Their Google API was an interesting leverage while they're building. So they had this flexibility, if you're following.
Right. So it's sort of like whatever things we don't have handled, we can just sub out to Google, essentially.
I wanted to see WTF is going on with getting what I want, which is, and Han and Max Cho and company answered my question when they told me, Mark, I feel your heart in your words. And I was like, okay, that's great. In other words, if we went and brought something before someone, I would say we've got all the bases covered for just what they want to solve their problem. I'm not talking about bringing it all together and having a design finished product. I'm just talking about where are we? Okay, it works. So I said, okay, so they got the band together on the Translate Me side. And what I did was, I can't remember the exact whole sequence of all the stories, but eventually I really fired away on Palmetto 1 and we got hard pushback as we are not a public good, we are a something something company. And I'm going, okay, noted, I don't agree. And we went 3 rounds with Palmetto groups and all that stuff. So keep in mind, I don't mind. Hey, it would have been a feather in our hat to have Palmetto 1 set up like now we are set up with Palmetto 2. So Palmetto 3 is the big one. And EOS-Bs with ENF funding is a big one. So as far as just the funding goes, it looks like that's been that's one of the big pie pieces that is solved. The integration into EOS project is a second one. We have now 3 of those already underway. We only want 10 right now. We don't want more than 10. So I'm not going crazy. I went with Aaron Cox and a few other people here and there to start proposing things going on because we want.
So what are those 3?
That's Chatbot was the first one. Thanks. Hats off to Kevin. He jumped right in and said, hey, let's fuck around. And I've tested his stuff and it was interesting on a prototype level. And then, very basic, not alpha, just prototype. And so basically we went to recently, Boom Boom, the exact evolution of it. I don't want to get caught in the details, but Patrick Nova Crypto jumped all over this. We did within 1 week, it was integrated. Well, at least a good integration prove out. Yesterday, it was integration prove out was finalized. So
well,
in other words,
awesome because basically Patrick's a coder too. He built this thing and it made it super easy. There's no one in the way to have to ask or do or.
This is what we're learning, and this is why I go, Patrick. I have a lot of respect for him.
Yeah, I love Patrick. He's a little overboard sometimes, but we need that,
Yeah, it helps. And so yesterday morning, he and I went back and forth, and then we weren't communicating. I say, well, we don't have the infrastructure for communication was failing, and also our loss in translation had failed. Already we burned up like 10 minutes or something. I repeated 3 times or something. He dropped off. I couldn't hear him. He's so-and-so. It didn't matter. We made progress. Right. And right around then we brought a third party, which is the chief technology officer for Translate Me. And Patrick was upset. And that's Rav Neat. You'll meet him Tuesday.
Okay.
Okay. So now you're caught up on, at least you know enough to be dangerous. Well, EOS bees is the second integration item. Now that's a big one.
Yeah, dude, that's huge.
Listen to this. Jesse and I and Ryan and Ravneet, we met last week. Problem solved. What happened was Jesse saw something he could use, which we all thought this would come together, and it did.
Cool.
So we're done with that. That is consider it launched. You know, the collaboration integration effort is already underway, and your YouTube come out of the middle of nowhere and was folded right into that. You even joined a meeting, I think, and I was like, okay, this is great. That's exactly perfect. And the efficiency is, I asked Dan Larimer a year ago, I said, are we going to notice, do you think, a bump in productivity metric that's going to be definitive, distinct, whatever? All 13 people, 20 people that answered on that EOS community thing said yes, unanimous metric for increased productivity visible. Because I want to see if the leverage of everybody's value in this human coordination solution actually leads to mystifying productivity. I don't know yet still, but meters the meters are going like this. And I'm like, because I just threw everything at this team, and look what you did. You plowed into this. There's hyper productivity.
You know, one of the things about me that I don't really tell a lot of people about me. I like to sort of remain anonymous and mysterious. But, you know, I went to school at Cal Berkeley. I'm a trained mediator, and I used to be a Chamber of Commerce president for 2 terms in Alaska. So one of my passions in life is bridging cultures and understanding the differences between factions and groups, and creating dialogue and innovating ideas into circulation and whatever. And so a lot of the time that I spent in EOS was just me trying to get my bearings over what is going on here, and what way can I provide value, and is this worth my time? And the whole time along, I've just been hooked. I just can't get away from EOS. You know, it's just like, it's too curious of a thing to me. There's too much stuff going on. There's too much opportunity. There's too many roads and paths that may not be explored if I don't jump in right now. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So I'm excited about it. And so that was sort of funny to me, because I was asking myself, like, what value do I provide as an individual to this team?
Do you see our number 4? Did you see our number 4 purpose? I added a 4th.
Yeah, I forgot what it was already.
It is to discover our individual value.
Right. Well, no, because when you wrote that, I started asking myself that question. And it's like, you know, I don't always, like, a lot of times I like to act intuitively and shoot through the hip. And other times I'll be very introspective and just think a lot about, you know, my inner motivations and behavior. But so far with this EOS thing, I've lately been following a lot of hunches, and my hunches tend to pay off. Like, I don't always understand why I decide to get interested in something or why I'm spending time focusing on it. But I generally find that I've been rewarded for how I go about my madness. And so when it came to this group, I felt like, you know what? I'm not sure the exact, like, I don't know if I could enumerate the exact value that I provide to this group, but I can say that in this moment, just the energy and the timing and just sort of being a catalyst for the dialogue is important, I think. And whatever role that I play in time, I might not be creating that much value for the group, but right now is a good time for me not to, you know, disappear, and to continue to support the group. And, you know, and maybe as time goes on, you know, the needs evolve, or what value I provide is lessened, and there's something that's greater. Like, I'm like, the way I looked at it was like, man, the best way I can serve this group is making myself unnecessary and unneeded, doing such a good job in participation that all the needs and wants of who needs to be involved, so the best people are in it, doing the best thing. And we all decided it's not me. That would be my best contribution.
What did that, this is on me, you said?
No, that it's not me. That if I did my job well, I would not even be in this group, because I would find people better than me to be in this group. You know, because there's too many other interests that I have, you know, but right now I don't see anyone better. You know what I'm saying? Right now I feel like, you know, it's a great opportunity to also for me to get involved at this early juncture, and such a critical component that sort of is like a glue of this ecosystem infrastructure, you know?
Yes. Yes, thank you so much. I can relate. Yeah, and in fact, the one concept that's new to me is the best part is no part. If I've really done my job, I'm gone or something like that. But I get it. I don't drill
Well,
that much.
it's
But
it's the whole principle of teaching someone how to fish versus feeding them a fish.
yes,
Whatever value I create, I believe I can reproduce in another if they have an open mind and that they can improve upon, you know. But it's sort of like what resource expenditure or level of interest do you have in playing this game, you know?
mm,
And so for me, it's like, do I think that I am the number one best person to be on a team for language translation for EOS? Well, as far as I know, given the data available to me, probably, you know.
that's hilarious. I was gonna go, yeah.
Yeah, but as time goes on, if we do a good job, me with my marketing, us with the language translation, then we're going to flesh out more people and bring more people to the table, more creative energy, more intelligent thinkers, people that'll push us.
You're gonna be the subject matter experts.
Right, right, right. Yeah, pretty much. We'll be the legacy guys, right? You know, like been there from the beginning.
You almost already are, man. Because Translate Me and these integration efforts you asked about is just one part.
Right,
So
right.
you asked originally, hey, what's going on? And I introduced you with the most kinetic side of it, but the non-kinetic side of it is almost captured in our mission and in our quick notes list for our project management piece already. It's like, hey, we want to do all these things. And immediately we want to kind of go ahead and stand up as an identity. We kind of just did that in like no time without any inertia.
Right, right.
You know, you jumped right in. I loved it. And it took about 3 or 4 rounds. It's fine. It makes sense, you know, but there was a lot of potential for confusion. Oscar was all about it. And then fella come in. And then now it's going to be a fifth, which speaks German and multilingual assumption, but we'll
Yeah,
see.
well, that's funny because I'll tell you what, this whole time along, I have been so cautious about getting involved with anything EOS. Like
You got it, man.
I was afraid to even be inducted as an Eden member.
Not me, because I got the in it for the tech side of me that's real strong. I don't give a fuck. So I'm like, yes, yes, yes. I want to use. But as far as commitment, and getting buried, no.
Right, right. Well, see, that was the thing because I was of the mindset, wow, what if some weird thing happened? I joined Eden, went to the election, and got elected to chief delegate. Then I'd feel obligated to like do my role, but I would be all like, I don't want to do this. I don't know what I'm doing. I don't, you know, this is too much. I'm not ready for this yet.
That's why I didn't run the first time. The second time I did run, but I would not have wanted to be a chief delegate, but I would have accepted the role. I could have done it. And so I just decided to do it on behalf of the Translate Me Pomelo pitch, because that's what really they want, just brute funding. And I said, if I got elected original, I would fund myself only. But if I got up to a chief delegate, I didn't get that out in the pitch. But basically, yeah, I would have taken like 10% and moved the rest over to the project
Right,
and fund those guys, because they gone on no funding forever, basically. Haha.
right. So, what do you think about ENF grant framework?
I think it's excellent and great and wonderful. I think the trust branding, the EVM trust branding is wonderful. I think the treasury as defined by the ENF is wonderful. I think every single thing they're doing, it's precision, it's perfect. And if it's imperfect, I think they're swarming and adapting things in a way that's just brute force through being brilliant. But Dan Larimer's working on the coordination side of it that will truly bring it all together. Ultimately, I believe that coordination is going to be a huge strength to what Yves LaRose's know-how and experience and EOS's integrity with the technology and the legacy from all these challenges and surviving in the heart of this community. All that stuff is going to be tied hugely together through these accountability tools like Eden and Fractally, in my opinion. So this really strong centralized ENF group is really strong and centralized, but I think that they are executing perfectly, which was the plan. It was to get a quick, really solid centralized entity to just get this identity rolling, because we never really had a community identity. That's the bottom line. And we just 3 years of no identity. So there was too decentralized.
Right. So what's Translate Me's position on putting together a grant application with through the ANF grant framework? Are they have they started?
Right now, they it's a tricky thing to speak to. So I would try to be very clear and say that the there's three things going on. I believe Jesse is going to be able to get Translate Me funding through the ENF. Number one. Okay. Number two is we are going to hopefully be able to grow as a foundation that can work into a larger scope of funding streams. So I spoke to Ryan an hour or two ago, whatever, and I said, you know, Dan Larimer was in my breakout room, and I turned his head because I don't have a video of that. Okay. I reached out to all those guys. I exhausted it today. If I did, you'd see. I said, boom, 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 boom. And Larimer goes and just starts like paying attention rather than doing a bunch of shit in the background. And
so
boom, 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 boom,
meaning
boom.
you were in Larimer's breakout room. Interesting. Okay. I didn't realize that.
That's why the modest amount of togetherness that we brought together was so great, because it was like, I don't know, day one of being able to say something. I said some stuff with Pomelo, but not as a team. So we're now able to kind of say, oh yeah, we're doing these things or whatever, you know? So I quickly put the list down, said I said, look, I spoke very fast, said, hey guys, for the sake of time, I just want to put this thing in front of you. I put a picture up. If you open it and you're able to open it, you'll see what I'm literally about to just walk right through. So they all just kind of shuffled and started opening. And Brandon Fancher, you know him? He's the right-hand man.
He had an Eden election, essentially.
Yes, he and I, me, John Williamson, and Translate Me met, and Brandon Fancher was like, this is a great system, because I was like, at least communication, right? Forget across language communication, but it was a bullseye, you know? So Fancher's 100%.
He's a bright guy, and he's also pretty good with people. I realize most programmers aren't.
Totally. He's amazing. He's like a fucking demigod up there. He's
right.
just like, he's like, hey guys, I got this stuff, man. I got this stuff, you know, don't worry. We just do this. He's great. I've loved it. Him and Brandon Lovejoy, but that's the community. That's the identity that's emerging. And so we talk about it. And so how do you step into that? Well, you know, kind of, I think what we're doing, I think you understand probably enough right now, but I wanted to clarify the players, and that is the Translation Foundation's here, Translates Me's here, and everything else that the community needs is here. And these things are going to be working out on this level. So right now we got that whole like tech side kind of rolling, where Translate Me is doing great. And what we don't have is our own team's pipeline through media that you brought up, a project management system that I'm penciling, an AHA with this community group. We haven't even talked really. Oscar's cool, but we hadn't moved into the Spanish communities. So I mean, we have nothing but moving, but we got to make sure we know where we're at in that kind of like organizational mission, because otherwise it can get confusing real quick. So the funding's a part of it. The people are a part of it. The tech is a part of it. The actual philosophy and long-term understanding of what EOS is kind of turning into representing is a part of it. Because you gotta blow everybody's mind if you explain what we're doing. You know?
Yeah. Well, you know, for me, when the 3 prime fractals thing came out, and I saw the immense value that the language translation role would provide in just our ecosystem, it started getting me to think of like ways, because you know, one of the things I was curious about Translate Me is it basically it says deploy dedicated server with instant translation API that can be utilized on any online platform or application with turnkey access at no cost of usage. No cost of usage. So do you really mean no cost of usage ever? For
Yeah, no, careful.
okay.
That's our public good and our offering
Right.
are these free APIs. So what their model is for funding is about about a 20th of the cost of those Google translate services and such. Will you give me just about like 2 minutes or maybe only 60 seconds? I got to find this fucking pan so I can get this bread in the oven.
Yeah, go ahead.
Hang
I'm
on,
gonna go get a coffee.
hang on.
I'm gonna get a coffee.
All right, cool. I'm back. FYI.
All right, I'm back.
All right, sweet. Yeah, I'm still gonna wrap up this get the bread set up thing, but be kind of
All right, so AOS chatbot, Patrick and MindWeb, and then the Bees YouTube videos.
up to 10 projects right now. We want as demos yesterday. We want it as fast as possible. So we're actually going there. And we're working on a Pomelo 3. That's for Translate Me, not the foundation. I hadn't considered putting in for the foundation. You know, maybe we'll work on our own funding streams at some point. Right now, I don't care about that. Fractally is good enough for me. Just going in and getting.
Yeah, I'm not really worried about it at this point.
Yeah.
So part of what role I want to do in the future is onboard new users and new business developers or people with ideas that have want to build on the EOS, blockchain or in the ecosystem or whatnot. And I actually have a contact, Samara, who you may know has actually participated in the Fractally meetings. She's now partnered up with a business in Ojai that does satellite live streaming. They used to do events. It's called DSI Live. They went defunct in like 2016 or something. But basically, they want to bring back their infrastructure, and she wants to do event promotions. And she's actually getting prepared to promote EOS, to co-promote EOS with her spiritual indigenous consciousness shift deal. And she had a Pomelo pitch that never got submitted. But the long and short of it is that like I was already talking to their guy. Hey, do you guys have a solution for your live events for language translation and captioning? You know, like I'm already asking him. And next thing you know, he's asking me, who am I and what is EOS and blah 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 blah. And no, we're looking into crypto projects. So next, and he's all of a sudden talking to me about on a completely different topics, but interested now in EOS.
Hey, and let me add on to this, okay? And that is that about a year ago, when I first started talking with Translate Me, they said they were deciding whether they want to build on Neo or EOS. They decided to build on Neo because Neo gave them $30,000. I say, fine. Well, we found out 2-4 weeks ago when we deep dove on next phases that really what we want is users to train their algorithm. And so what we believe we will be doing is integrating to have a full and all out straight up machine generation, everything that's preserved, nothing lost on EOS before Pomelo season 3. So I hope.
Whoa, really?
Thank you. So let's keep that kind of. I mean, I know we're recording this and everything. That's why recording.
I don't want to put this one up public.
Well, I'm looking for reasons why we wouldn't record everything. Just
well, I'm glad that you're thinking about that because I don't always know what things are sensitive unless the rated.
Yeah, exactly. And so I'm not overly sensitive, but I am sensitive to heedlessness. So that's the best interpretation.
You know what I'd like to do with these videos? I'd like to put them on YouTube under my EOS open stage thing. I can even make a playlist or whatever, or another channel, but I want to make them private. So you have to have a Gmail account that we can authorize access to. So make it like on demand where someone goes, ooh, I heard this was really good. I want to watch it. I'm reading these things about it, but like make it exclusive.
And if it gets out, that's fine. If you're that opportunistic that you watched our private ass videos, you got permission.
Yeah, you went to the trouble.
Then you can have the information. Yeah, we're gonna have a translation on EOS function. I want to, you know what? Other folks know that also. So this is just an exercise. It's not like this is critical. So there's a few other people that are up and up on that. So right. This is all brand new. But the thing is I said that very slowly and weirdly for a very good reason. And you caught right on. You're like, damn, that's awesome. Because if we can, so there's about 10 things in the fire. And I think that's why we're talking today is we wanted to go back to the original, what's going on. And I think this might be helpful for Oscar. Right now, we've been recording for like X number of minutes, say 20 to 25 minutes. That's reasonable for if Oscar felt like really quickly watching a description of kind of what we're doing, but he could fast forward if he wants. But basically, this is a bit of that private archive. It's pretty notable.
Well, here's the deal, man. If we get these videos posted, captioned, translated, we should be able to search the text of the videos to go, hey, what video was it that we talked about this idea, or just even making a documentary from how this process began. We have all this footage that it could be very valued content, even though initially it may just sit there for some time,
It's brilliant. I want it on our project management sheet, what you've just said. I want that because I think what we're trying to do, that this is a perfect candidate of the subtleties that I have not listed out that are far, far beyond
I'm thinking about this from a future marketing standpoint. I'm looking at these timelines and going, what's the value content in here? What clips can I pull out? What can I use as a soundbite in an audio mix? I want to make EOS music. I want to get in Singjoy and Felix and all these content creators. Like I want to do so much stuff. Like it's mind boggling, but right now I want to stay focused with language translation. But what I really need to do is just get all these ideas out on paper so everyone else that has these same ideas can contribute to them. So I'm not waiting for the ENF or Fractally or anyone to help build something, for me to do that. I want to build something myself.
Yeah. Yeah. And I think that's what we call, the analog to digital function of a modulator. That's really what we're doing is we're taking our value, and I would consider myself an ambassador for this planet. And in that post, in the post that wherein I serve, it is to bring the value to the working level in the manifested world here on this planet. So it starts asking a bunch of bullshit questions. I get it. It's tricky, but bottom line is if we can put money back in the pockets of the trees, that's what I want. Now, how are we doing it? Well, the tokenization analog to digital is a big deal because that allows the trees bank accounts to stack up without them having to like go like fight a war or something. You know, they just continue to exude value and people reward that value. So you see, because I know that everyone's trying to think about that since Tesla, but the blockchain world understands the A to D, but it's all actually being integrated right now. Well, Larimer is probably maybe one of the closest I've kind of seen to that, but I asked him directly 2 weeks ago or 3 weeks ago on the channel, the big wide channel. Actually, it was our breakout room. It was a different one. I've been in his room, I think 3 times, man. No shit. But I asked him, I said, well, I didn't ask him, but I did say, I'm interested in the bank accounts of trolls and the bank accounts of other challenging entities. I want to see. I want to see how
you're getting into a big point. Keep going. I want to hear what you say.
I want to see how many people value the shadow, the dark crypt that nobody ever wants to enter, but that holds all of the keys.
Well, you know what? I think you're really on to something there because it's my personal belief that a lot of these independent looking individuals, bank accounts, and scam bots are actually all orchestrated by a very intelligent machine learning AI based thing that manipulates human behavior. And it's part of a well-funded operation. Personally, I'm operating from that perspective, like exploring that possibility. So do you remember what happened at the beginning of the last meeting? Were you there?
Well, the lot has happened at the beginning of last week, like 1,000 different things.
Well, the pre-meeting, the porn shots and the did you see what happened? Okay, so I'm trying to trace down who are the users. I want to figure out who are these users. Like, are these people? Are these human bad actors or are they automated bad actors? And I was like messaging Rexler, like, can we trace their IPs? Can we get a handle on it? Because if we don't capture that data, you know, I think we're at a disservice because we need to protect ourselves from these threats.
Check this out. Listen, you won't believe this. I fucking messaged right then. And I did not mean a double entendre. I did not mean a double meaning. I said, this is excellent for hardening.
Yeah. And I called it a civil attack.
Oh yeah. And I did not mean that in a sexual joke until I reread it. And I said, because right. you said something and I said, oh no, and I can't delete that comment. And I said the network, you know, I didn't mean to say,
right.
No, this is, well, you and I are very, very excellent in terms of be able to, you know, triangulate into the what it is we're interested in. So basically, here we are at a place where I rarely submit and exchange information. So it's very internal. So yeah, the bottom line is, what are the bank accounts of these entities going to look like? Because my thing is, they have a very high value to me. I want an A to D system that's actually going to materialize that value, so I can actually see if say we're able to atone or basically accommodate for turn to have tea with the forbidden. Well, that's along the inheritance that the singularitarians speak of when they use the word abundance, and Musk said it twice in the last month. The future is abundance. Well, careful to get to abundance. How to navigate an engineer's guide to navigating an apocalypse. Haha, I don't really like to use that word because of the stuff. But what it really means is how to basically be a guy that I usually say high dominance through wealth, high dominance through intellect, and thirdly, high personality or winning personality. Those three would be your things you want to maximize if you feel like you want to take a nice walkabout through this transformative future that we all talk about. But you don't even really going to need the money, and intelligence turns into ignorance quick when you become the Forrest Gump who's ready for anything. Very adaptable guy. Hi, oh, let him in. It's like the ant and the grasshopper. The ant worked all the time, and then the grasshopper need a place to stay. So I don't even have food. They say, well, first off, fuck you. But second off, come in, enjoy a warm bowl of soup. But will you play your violin for us, please? And he says, well, fuck yeah, man. They give him the soup, they give him the shelter, and he just, that's what has to happen. The modulation between these groups. So Musk knows what's up, but how do you get there from here? Well, it's the sausage that nobody wants to see. So anyway, we don't have to repeat it. We did it. You and me, we got there because that's exactly what's happening. We get a chance to go, how do you actually speak to all these large talk? Because there's a lot of talk and consensus in those rooms. We go, I don't think that you did anything this week or something. I told those guys, I'm interested in the weird processes of actually coming together as a breakout group.
Yeah, one of the weird things that happened with me is I was in a group with Val, who is one of the Fractally team. And so he's talking about the contributions he's made, and like what they're working on or whatever. And and we're comparing him to Joshua Seymour, who is, integral with running the meetings and whatever. And it's sort of like, well, how do I evaluate someone's contributions that they've made when I can't see the results of the outcome of those contributions? Whereas I can see Joshua's immediately. Do I reward him based on what effort he's made that hasn't actually amounted to anything? Because I mean, for all I know, Fractally could just dissolve as a business, and so I was of the mindset, it's sort of confusing to me because I don't know exactly. I'm sure he's doing something, but is he paid for his work? Does that matter? And one of the interesting things that came up was when I was in a breakout room with Joshua Seymour before, I asked him, I don't understand your relationship to Fractally. Like, are you a staff member? Are you paid to run the meetings? Because if you are, wouldn't that be different than, if, you're just doing this all on your own accord? Well, he told me that back then he wasn't staffed. And then last meeting, he told me that he entered into an independent contracting relationship with Fractally to provide whatever. And so I'm like, well, that's great, but shouldn't that all be openly disclosed? Like, because he didn't go into details over like what the compensation was or what exactly.
Hey, Gregory Wexler, Josh's contemporary, basically they are the same. They're administrators for this whole thing. Wexler, fascinating. There in front of in our breakout room, we had the similar conversation where Wexler springs, but I'm not getting paid. I've refused a salary. I say, because then the conversation starts saying, well, is it his responsibility to tell the whole story, or is he playing around with withholding an idea that I say, look, funding, brute force funding is a force. Dan Larimer employs 12 people. Well, what is brute force funding? The buddy of yours that's a good best friend in the world, doesn't ever hang out with you, but he comes to the table and solves your problem with hard cash every once in a while. How good of a friend is he compared to the motherfucker that ain't got shit, that has been your boy in your heart forever? I don't know the answer to the question. So yeah. The old magicians would give a red envelope where the poor guy can come with $5, the rich guy can come $5,000. They could both walk away happy, and the teacher as well. and the training goes on, irrespective of money and all this bullshit. So I said that to Dan in the room and to Greg Wax. I said, look, man, so I don't know about value per dollar unit. Forget it. just the red envelope item. We don't know the answer to this, your good question to Josh at all right now. It's being asked. How do we evaluate cold hard? I just employed 12 people. I'm an employee and work 40 hours because I told him I work 20 hours.
Well, you know, in my opinion, of a lot of businesses, I mean, I'm not saying all businesses are this way, but a lot of times businesses can usurp budgets and not generate a whole lot of value. I'm not saying that's true practically, but that happens a lot in government and nonprofits.
I know what you're
Money
saying.
laundering schemes.
Hey, Fractally may die, you know, he's not funded right now. He asked for 3.4 million from EOS and they were like, no, but EOS is his community, which is obviously the value. It's the people doing the work, right? Which is the community, because we're learning this whole symbiotic thing. And so where's Dan going to get $3.4 million? Probably his own pocket and build on EOS is my thought, and maybe halfway with ENF. Can you give me 1.7, please? Thanks. Okay, boom. And it's public goodness. I would vote for that. Just give him the money. It's a great thing, but it could fail. We all want to double next week. I invited somebody so we can all get to 100 people instead of 50. It's not like there's 1,000 people showing up every week yet, you know, but we're in an incubation state. Will it survive? I go, I don't know, man. I've seen a bunch of cool projects go away.
Yeah, I still feel as though it takes a certain kind of breed of person to participate with Fractally right now for its growth. Because like the whole, just who was it? Somebody else in Go Fractally right before we got on here was saying that they had a problem with Hive, and you know they're like into crypto and ADD and really good at this stuff, and so he made some, because I was in my early stages with it. I was so pissed off because the stupid Mighty Networks interface has a setting to turn off the send button on messages. So I'm sitting here going, how do I reply to this? You know, for the longest time, it was like, why was my default setting to turn off the send button? And I was like, that is so stupid to even have that as an option, you know?
Which forum was that on the site itself?
Like, let me see if I can find it. Maybe you're not.
Well, it was on a post, you think?
Go Fractally. Just right before we got into Zoom call, I got a notification for it. And it was actually a message, I think. It was like one of these messages where they message everyone. And it was my last response was from like a long time ago, but then somebody else, let me screenshot it or send it.
Screen share. That's the new way,
yeah,
buddy.
Yeah, that's right. Where is the, maybe it was a notification. Let me move this around.
Yeah, either way, you can let it go. I don't really care about that. I don't think you do either, but if you dig it up, hit me up if you dig that up for sure. I'm looking at this Zoom thing to share your screen. How do you even do that? I'm trying to think. Participants.
Host disabled participant screen sharing. So you have to enable screen sharing for me. So go to participants.
I did.
And then
and I got more. And your drop down does not have anything about sharing screen. So I'll just make you host. You can share screen, but you don't even want to share screen, do you? I mean, we're dropping this.
If I find the screen,
I want to make sure we get back to your original question. So let's ask that. What is it? What is it we want to know about better? Because I hadn't really said it to anybody really.
Right. Go back to that.
I do know that I got that bread proofing right now. 45 minutes, I'll get an alarm in my right ear and jump up and put it in. So it's like, break my head, would you? You know, it's like timers city, man. I probably set 5 timers in the last 2 to 3 hours. So I think you're beginning to understand the scope. It's large. We want to be fluent with Gracie Liu, one of our chief delegates. We want the Chinese people rivers of impressions, because see, you know, the different language speaking groups speak in different fundamental structural, like projected blocks. So the colors, the shapes literally can play a role into how they're
communicating. You catch wind of the Twitter Spaces talk of KOLs by Zach Gall and the web link he shared over their flash news? Okay, well, basically I think in the fireside chat, he reviewed the Twitter Spaces EVM thing, and what he was explaining is the Chinese community have all these KOLs, which are like independent news. I forget what it stands for, something of leadership.
Yeah, I heard it in the AMA last night that was on YouTube. Zach Gall said exactly this. He said it was I forwarded every one of those links, by the way. Haha.
Oh, you did to him.
I did. I did. The ENF went top to bottom. I went down each one of them and tweeted, fuck you, man. Fuck you, man. Fuck you, man. Fuck you, man. Because EOS is doing some interesting stuff. I'm just straight up going like this. We're expressing ourselves, and the media come out and go, the last second 2 sections had all these international, didn't care. There you go. There you go. There you go. There you go. And then all the stuff in my notifications just lit up. I didn't even read them, man. I was like, just let it go.
Yeah, because that was another thing is, I don't know about, I mean, what are we doing here? Is this scope limited to language translation? Because there's a lot of stuff where I'm thinking, man, I wish I could automate these processes.
Well, careful. We can't automation.
No, I know, but I'm not, I know, I'm sure we can. It's just like, I don't know if that's something that we should be thinking about or talking about right now.
Yes, we should be, please. It needs to just be on our list, because all we're going to do is go to the right church, right pew, turn the key, and the value will flow, and we will populate the larger, I said giant robot in the chat. The US Translation Foundation giant robot will awake and they go, and the whole thing will be good because of this value unlock that the Fractally is speaking to, because that's basically, we're testing Fractally, and it's evidence of we can get someone to go ahead and do the automation solutions, because it's all theoretically copy paste almost,
Right.
the integration and fabricing, but these open source are now finally going to start getting a piece of the pie through Fractally.
Did you ever think about because I clearly see that the value the team provides to the bees is immense, but did you ever think how that will change the bees structure and might put certain people out of jobs or change their jobs?
I have, and I have lots of good ideas, because cool. a bee swarms. So the A to D system is a evidentiary of a bee swarm that would normally scare a human race, but it's actually going to be frightening only originally. But the truth is that flow that we're unlocking across different language speaking groups will look a lot like in the Matrix, when that machine just created a chair for Keanu Reeves to sit in. It was the third Matrix. I loved all 3 of them, but basically he's sitting on a big old hand like this, and he sits in the chair of a bunch of micro machines that all formed to help him. Well, that's not, bugs and infestation is not going to be the characteristic of swarm flow and open source workflows with giving and receiving as we transcend even tokenomics. Tokenomics is just an intermediary stage, because we won't even need the storage of goods and services across time anymore as money, but it is a little ways out, but ultimately we're A to D'ing everything. And I think the species is stepping up, but what it's going to take is inheriting it. So when we say we want to do automation, all we do is turn the plugs and so-and-sos, and then the whole fluid flow fills up our automation sections that applies to what you're embodying. Can we stamp this here, please? Thanks. And it's yesterday, and I've already can you just put it on paper? We'll just turn this.
So what because this is so much music to my ears.
Yes.
Because I've been using computers since my VIC-20, and dial-up modems to all the way up till today. And I've never been a coder per se, but I know a lot about technology because I'm pretty good with hardware. I've self-taught in Windows and Linux and Mac. I haven't used Mac much lately because I don't own one. But I keep thinking to myself, like my AI program or my thing, like my machine learning is this how, and so in my mind, I'm designing it, but I'm like, how do I even implement it? I don't know any Python or I don't know any of this stuff. And I'm like,
Well,
ah,
I
that
think
doesn't
first,
matter.
yeah,
That's not my job. That's what I decided. That's not my job.
yeah. And here we are, the tapestry, or that little micro machine that is the bot that is self-coding. Like you and I are just literally little giant robots that are just little
Right.
bots that are connecting the dots. And so it's like, how do you get meta and yesterday? Because that's the pace when there is no such thing as time. Life is only a dream, and in it we're an imagination of ourselves, or whatever that fucking hilarious ass shit that goes. But basically, yeah, when it all breaks down and there's no real. So here's what I would say, speak to when it comes to that last like inflection. That is the conversation you and I have, the body of kind of like information in this dialogue on each side of the dialogue is equivalent. That is already upsetting. So what I'll say is that's what I would suggest, and I would go lend evidence as to you have impressed, and likewise the flashing speed at which I've been able to move into, say, the EOS translation, whatever. All of that stuff is almost boring at some point when we just say this. It's the EOS Translation Foundation. Oh, by the way, here's a link to our mission. Okay, we're done. And then we don't have to even have that conversation. If they dig into this chat and find this archive and go, oh, that's funny, these guys were thinking about it back then on how not to shoot one's own foot.
Right.
Sure, whatever. But the automation will flow as we're like taking cues from solving coordination.
Well, and so like the thing I was thinking is like take the Twitter Spaces example, because the way I've been looking at the translation thing is like this concept of like content type. Like what is the content that we're dealing with? Like for example, the EOSBs is YouTube videos, and that's one iteration. So now when I see these Twitter Spaces, one of the things I realize about the Twitter Spaces is that when they speak in Chinese, the Twitter Spaces has the capability of auto captioning in Chinese or English or whatever. And so I'm like, well, what is Twitter going to do about these captioned texts? Are they going to provide a downloadable file for this thing to be translated, or are we going to be talking to Twitter about integrating our API with their thing, or are we going to build, like this? It's just like how we deal with the YouTube translation.
I already know.
Good.
They've been behind walled gardens, but no more. We're taking ownership as a community, and a community that's building on pretty high ideals. One that would say we're going to leverage our basic rights or what we want based on how well we can coordinate. And if that so happens such efficiently to decentralize translation and the walled garden model, sure, we think that's fine. Doesn't matter. I can tell you right now, the solution's not right now. Microsoft hasn't come to my door and said, look at all this great fucking translations. It's all yours. No, there's big blocks to a bunch of bullshit. And
Oh yeah.
I think that can change overnight. But what I think comes back to what we want to talk today is I want a roadmap with a lowercase r that just puts this on paper so we can say, hey, can we check those 4 boxes? Okay, this week we went ahead and checked 4 boxes. Okay, can we check those things? Okay, can we have a meet and greet? Okay, can we get the Spanish or the Chinese piece? Hey, can we copy paste, please? Get the guys. So, okay, Dan, talk to Doug, or whatever. Because yeah, whenever you're talking, you want, I want, and we want to bring it in-house and put it on that roadmap so we literally can just lowercase b build it out without any inertia. I'm not a coder, but I am a human automaton, a legacy of a reverberating input output speak of, call it old AI, but we're rising where the human complexity of the whole package is coming to the table, because the body, I don't believe, is going to be left behind. I do not think that you don't throw 1 trillion years of evolution away. because humans came up with a fucking secondary, thirdly, fourth layer AI. You know what I mean? No, it's
Right.
good. It's going to
Right.
get excellent. And when the minerals are running the show.
Well, cool. So let's talk about the upcoming week. So the meeting, what's Tuesday? I guess,
Yes, it's on my calendar. I'd never used a calendar before.
yeah, I believe it's 17 UTC, right?
I'll verify. Wait one.
That's 2 p.m. What time zone are you in?
I am central.
Okay, I'm central too. Perfect. So that's 2 p.m. our time.
Yeah, I'm doing just almost straight UTC. And right now it's the -5 for us, but
Right.
it'll change to a -6 overnight.
Right.
This one is our time is 12 p.m.
Oh, 12. Oh, I'm sorry. Yeah. How did I get? Oh, I did math wrong.
It's 12 p.m. to 1 p.m., but that's dangerous. I want to see a UTC value and I don't. So it has to be 1700. I want to see that in the chats now before we leave this conversation so we don't. All right, I got it. Tuesday, 1700 UTC.
Okay. I made a separate Gmail account for all my EOS videos in case I wanted to like relinquish the account for some reason and share it in a way that would mix things up.
Hey, look, I have an LLC, or it's in the making for just generalized LLC. So you have an email you said you set up that you can use dedicated Translation Foundation email?
Well, I have this email for Gmail. It's EOS Open Stage. I made it just so I could have a separated YouTube thing for my own personal stuff.
Okay.
So I just realized when I was logging in my Google Calendar, I was in the wrong one.
Yeah, because if this thing works, the funding flow will necessitate a copy paste of what the ENF did over the last year, which is basically get their whole entity stuff square.
Right.
You know what they did in their first few meetings? He reaches over to Telos and Telos admin says, I got the whole accounting side already set up. Okay, go ahead. You can handle it. I was like, this whole value sharing with EOS.io coming together is going to be massive, man. And you know, I mean, I don't know. I mean, it looks that way from my theoretical perspective. I mean, the groups that are in the shared like skin in the game with that EOS.io plus group that united Telos and UX and Wax and EOS, those groups besides EOS, they're paying like a quarter, an eighth, a tenth, a 20th of what EOS is funding for the EOS.io code base. So they're getting a really good deal year one. I looked at that, the amounts they put in. It was a good deal for them, but year one you can expect that. So
well, they wanted the support and alliance of what entities to incentivize it.
You're right, man. I thought that was so cool. And then I thought it was interesting that everybody was getting a really good deal year one while they all look at it and go, is this what's going on here? Yeah, okay. Because everybody kind of knows theoretically it's the good thing to do, but actually those guys are running on some serious value models. EOS already has the $2 billion just to fuck with, but those guys are like, I don't want to lose my money. They paid up. They put the money in like this last week, kaboom. So what does that mean for us? That means Eves has already paved the way for just handling the liability side of standing these organizations up. We don't have to like reinvent anything on what we would never want to fuck with. That is, how do you run a corporation? I'm like,
Basically, Yeeves is dealing with what Block One didn't really do a good job of doing, which is getting all their I's dotted and T's crossed and compliance.
exactly, and mitigating risk sufficiently while maintaining a sufficient set of compliance structures.
Right.
Because they were zero risk. They'll hold on to their Bitcoin. I was like, okay, okay. But again, the hardening factor, if we survive, we are going to be a force. That's why just fundamentally, when you see this rose appear, with the EVM is interesting, that ETH dev last night, because it's all written into users and developers are good metrics. So Telos right now says we are a success this year if we increase our developer load by 100. So I'm over here like, how do we even do these things? Well, who's doing what, and can we get it? Can we learn from that? And Telos is doing it. They say 100 devs would be a metric that would say we are going to be successful in our next chapter after the EVM launch. Because Telos went 100x. You know what I mean?
Hey, I think you got a bad link in your document. The task list #1. There's a link to the peak D. It's going to Douglas Butner's Web 4 article.
All right, let's do that. I got the Windows game Mac style, where you rearrange windows for fun.
Yeah.
All right, I'm on the spreadsheet now. Oh, peaked.
Yeah.
So what I said is this: we want to use this as a template and publish it to the community. So this guy, Douglas Butner, put together a hello, this is who we are as a team, Fractally team.
Oh, use that as an example. Gotcha.
Yeah, I reached out to him and I said, can we use your shit as a template? Because it's pretty slick. So we want to copy, paste, and feed all that information in that, but I don't want it to be a lot. I just kind of want it to be like, here's who we are, we're done. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Who's working on that?
No one, but we got it on paper, which is the key.
Right. It's the task is outlined at least.
Yeah, in fact, as you want to add those ideas you had, I'll type it in this list. But
because I guess really what it comes down to is if because it's not on the list, but it's exploring dialogue with Vincent of EOS Nation with the onboarding of junior developers to expand it to include a language translation team component. Like if you need people at a university that speak a certain language and they wanted to get on board with assisting, however, with the language translation, like a cookie cutter way is what I'm looking for. And then similarly, Eden and Fractally as governance models for experimentation with students that want to use the Eden election system and or the Fractally want to participate directly in Fractally governance, to have like a coordinating effort through this, one thing, to where it's like these are optional add-ons, if there's enough interest. Does that make sense?
I already talked to Brandon Fancher about this project, so he's aware. So when Dan and I've been talking over and over, when they're ready for the same type stuffs, I won't be surprised if they talk to me like Dan talked to me a year and a half ago. He reached out to me and he said, I hear you want to open up a translation portal on EOS. Look forward to an invite to Eden. And I was like, because we hadn't built Eden yet, And so
there's a lot to that, because like even say the onboarding of young developers, there's a lot of documentation and stuff that probably could benefit from translation.
Your idea is stellar, bro. Hey, look, 4 and 5. Do you see it now in the near term?
Oh yeah.
So do you see that, Vincent of EOS Nation, and then same for Eden?
I see it. Yeah, I see it.
So let's continue to move out on your other good ideas, because you said, but that was it pretty much. But I think there are another one. Automation was another one. What's that? Midterm, long term, near term? What's going on?
This back end, or not back end. It's just this third party service that I'm using their API translation tools for YouTube videos, but it has a lot of other features. But I have my friend who I was saying, hey, you could probably help us get involved to make a thing to where if you want it like an interface. I don't know what your guys' plans are with, say, for the YouTube translation. Because
I think Tuesday Translate Me is going to say, here's the solution we recommend, and we've already built it, but I don't know.
yeah, I just be curious because one of the things that Jesse asked me with the system I was using, it says, can we review or edit the translation changes before publishing to YouTube? The system I had did not allow for that. You'd actually,
Translate Me solved it.
okay, good. I figured it wouldn't be hard, but it just, I'm hard coded in with whatever I have.
You're going to fucking love it.
I can't wait. That's awesome.
So he shows that to me like a week ago, and I go, stop, it's great. And he goes, but there's more. Yeah. So at the end of that, 2 days later, Jesse says the same thing, demo. And he says, glad you asked. And he's not smug. He's a very sweet person. I'm characterizing and having fun. So basically when we met with Jesse, Jesse asked, Ryan shows him, and Jesse asks a question, a decent entry level. Second one was a good question. Third one, he says, I love it.
Well, what's awesome is my expectation is not only the level of curiosity and interest that will come about over the increased publicity we can create with language translation. There will be the very real fact that now these things will be discoverable in foreign languages, which I can only assume will cause more of a growth of the EOS ecosystems, like the understanding of it in a larger audience. And given the EOS EVM and the timeline for it and everything that's going on, I'm looking towards, Q3, Q4, some definite exciting things happening.
Yeah, I think maybe sooner, because I told you already, Palmetto 3 is Translate Me is already up and running. So in other words, we got the tech, we got like the infrastructure, like the hard infrastructure piece underway. That's the hardest part, is to go through the long tail of like something that
it's almost like I came in and the meal was already prepared. It's like it's already been, everything's really, I'm just helping out with the little toppings and the little last minute fixings.
Yes,
like inviting people to the table. Hey, come everybody, come eat.
That's right. That's so for us, we could ask, well, what kind of like early work like that early work are we doing right now for later? It's the same. And then also, what kind of products are we using now that we're working into the future? It's the same. And that's what your question originally was, is where do we stand?
Right.
So I want to say the piece on publicity, I think we've covered with number 2. We want to populate the Hive content across all social media channels, especially MindWeb. I want to work with Patrick to make sure that, see, we've already got our own like super Oracle local portal. Patrick's building this MindWeb, and he can build all kinds of UIs over it. So Hive is not that, but we want something to be plugged in as on a blockchain. He's got that in his head and online, but that's hard to do. Right now, he's just getting the good integrity and the content. That's really the product. Plugging into the blockchain is really secondary. So right now we have
Have you any understanding of how MindWeb is designed? Like because I just out of curiosity.
Yes, I do. It's basically this. It's designed very visually as blocks to contain archives. So how do you? It's basically a huge reservoir. It's made. And it's not very easy and fun to fuck with. It's more like get me out of here. But if it had a UI on it, or some kinds, it's a treasure trove. We got the guy.
I agree. I love mind mapping. I've been into something called free playing, just because I always like to try to find the best open source, adaptable tools. And one of the things I like about free playing is it has Python script integration in it. You can actually make like your cells into interact with. It's designed for that. But I really like Patrick's stuff, but it's not. Some of the stuff he's doing isn't like, I haven't really looked at it closely, but I have sometimes hard time Googling and searching and locating some of the things he publishes.
Yeah, it's just archive. That's it.
It's not presented with the right metadata structure or whatever.
Not usable.
Right. So it's helpful for us if we can find it, but then it's sort of like if you spend that initial time trying to find it and you can't find it, then
Spend any time.
Yeah.
Don't spend any time. But do integrate with Patrick like we are. For one, a demonstration of our own interest, but two is for the archiving itself. So we want to like tap into all that, and then someone like your buddy or developers on some other levels can sit here and say, hey, I'm the UI guy, I can make this come together. And you say, okay, great. And we will have a translation portal set up on the back end.
I was sort of cool. He was explaining to me.
He's building the translation portal. Do you know that Patrick talked to Ravneet yesterday morning, and they come up with
Ravneet?
Ravneet is the CTO tech guy.
Oh, yeah, that's right. Yeah, that's right.
Listen to this one. You're gonna love this. I think we've got both a translation solution and a training the algorithm solution all through the Mind Web.
Ooh, I love it.
Now, if we put a layer over it to people who can read and understand it to go, this is what I want, this is what I want to do. Well, problem solved. So look, that was the original thing that I published, like EOS translation portal. I put that on eoscommunity.org. Remember that old forum that everybody was kind of using in the early stages of Eden? Well, basically, that's got my post where I'll point to that at any time and say, I wear the cape. I make the whoosh noises. That's fucking awesome, man. Because we got street credibility is my point.
Legacy, practically. Because you can sell that all day long, that we've been doing this for a year and a half, in other words. Oh, okay. What you got? Free plane. Okay. Is this a UI kind of concept?
Well, no, it's just a mind mapping tool that I sort of fond of or just curious about, because it has these add-on and scripting JavaScript.
So I'm looking at home. So it starts here. This is the start page.
Yeah. Well, if you scroll down to the add-on and scripts thing, that's just the thing I thought was interesting to me.
Yeah, I see. Okay, great. This is the Python point.
Right. So I don't know if this provides any value, but it seems to be relatively well maintained. I mean, it got Staff Choice Award in December 2020. So
yes. Thank you. So ultimately, we want to decentralize all of this stuff, and these are good prove outs. The APIs, everything decentralized. See, so we don't know how. But even Patrick's is not decentralized; it's his own server.
Well, you see, and that's the thing, is that like we're obviously not. As this community grows, we can't expect Patrick to handle every single post that we want to enter into.
No, not at all. But he is doing these great things, and if he can build our kernel for our own UI for the translation kernel,
right.
Oh man, this is great. Now he can give his baby to the community at any point. He can build a chain and have token system and all these things, and then govern it from the community and all this stuff. But we have that kernel translation portal where video and the so-and-so, the new publications, Jesse B's, the demo that Ryan showed Jesse, had Jesse go, Ryan basically showed Jesse that the administrator, that the Jesse person submits a document. Now his list of documents just grew by one. And he sees it right there. Okay, cool. Then he chooses 10, up to 10, but that's configurable because they own the code. They can do whatever they want. And EOS community has full dev support for all of that. And so basically he adds all these 3 or 4 languages. Then he says, sends it out to 11,000 potential translators, but only in its own languages correctly. So he can whitelist. I only want, this person, this person on that list of Spanish and translators, whatever. Well, then they get it, and he logs out, he goes into the user portal. The user goes, oh, here's a flagged one. This is a new document. Do I want it or not? He opens it up. He goes, I'll take it. And there's a dollar amount and all that shit. And he goes, boom, let's do this. And next thing you know, Jesse gets, excuse me, the user does the retranslation. There's two tabs, one the original, one's the new. He got a 75%. It's already been through the 75% translation algorithm at that point.
Okay.
He makes the corrections. Now there's two tabs and he says, well, I'm done. Sends it back. Now Jesse has a flag. When Jesse logs on, he goes, oh, okay, looks at it, send it.
Is this just for documents or is this for
This is for
YouTube?
finalizing translation for, at this point, let's say just documents.
Okay, so it doesn't deal with the timestamps with the SRT.
With the what?
Timestamps in the SRT files? Because in the closed captioning of the YouTube videos, there's a beginning.
Ryan has said he has what he believes all of that already covered.
It doesn't seem like it should be that. I mean, because SRT is such a very simple, basic structure.
Now you can, you and me are trying to build a rhythm to plug you into the language that I've slowly been able to learn about where we're at and what's real or not.
Right.
And I think we're on more of the same page as we start saying, well, what can they do, or what has been done, or what should we be doing? It's all different. So we're really genning up a lexicon, you and me, for workflow purposes to, in a word, say this or that, or boom. So now you can see Tuesday's meeting is going to be good.
Yeah, it'll be awesome. I'm really, because the thing that's interesting to me is like, I'm wondering what would have happened if I didn't get involved.
Yeah, well, probably much of the same.
Yeah, I know. It's like, I think I might have just got lucky for myself.
Probably have a couple extra licks on the guitar that you know pretty well.
Right.
You sit there and go, what did I do today? I have no idea.
Well, you know, because for me, it was like, I don't care if I leave the group and I've done a 20-week sit out, because it's more fun for me to get involved now at this early opportunity and kick this thing into gear. And even if I skedaddle away, at least I got in, had some fun. Did something.
I love it. And if you disappeared tomorrow, we would understand, but hey, what's really interesting about that is the no mass or no inertia. There's no binding. It's a decentralized piece.
Right.
And reputation does emerge, but I wouldn't worry about bad reputations and shit like that. Things come and go, and people rug pull all the time. And I think it's very valid in its context. I know that's blasphemy, but I want to know what the rug puller's bank account's going to look like after he plugs into things like Teams and Fractalies and so-and-so's, as like, how do the trolls get paid? Or there's not going to be any more trolls to harden our network. So I don't want to just completely, but Dan's question was answered. I asked that question. Dan's answer was this. If you've ever had kids, you know that if it's total chaos, you're going to have to put a hammer down. And I was like, fair enough for now, fair enough. But with the parents that are at their end of their rope, they can't learn unless it's from those kids driving them crazy. But that's just a whole nother cycle of life, basically, is what that is. It's just going to keep turning, go on to the next kind of phase.
Well,
I want to see what tokenomics is.
I have another thing to possibly add to the list. So I'm going to send you a link to it in the chat and you can decide. This is a live streaming company that does satellite. Like, they have the capability to do large scale events via satellite, like where there's no internet hookup. And Samara, who is trying to be part of Fractally, is partnered with this guy in Ojai, and they're redoing their whole interface because the business has been defunct for like the last 5 years, and they're trying to get it up online, and they're doing all these events promotions. But she wants to participate with Fractally and introduce fractal governance to the native population and kids and whatnot, and it's part of this whole consciousness shift deal. And so I already spoke to one of their developers about, do they have a solution for language translation or in their captioning or whatever in their stuff.
So what in a bullet, what is this task? Basically is explore what?
Well, I'm just wondering, that's a very good question. I'm wondering what their business model is and whether or not, because they're also talking about developing on But when I started talking to the guy, he was interested in EOS and just
What's
developing.
their group called? What do they do? What is their name? Or
Yes,
what
I
is it?
lied. It's the links right there in the chat. You see it?
Oh, looking now.
Okay. But basically, they do live stream. They do events. They broadcast and live stream events, and they don't require internet hookup because they do it through satellite. And their site sucks. I don't know why it takes so long to load, but I have a feeling it has to do with outdated web standards and just who knows what. But anyways, they're in the process of redoing their site. And the thing that was interesting to me, because like really don't care if they have a need or not for language translation. I just wanted to talk to the guy and see what his response was. But when I started talking to him, he was telling me his other ideas and an interest in developing on blockchain, and he didn't really know much about it. And I was like, well, this guy's got interest in developing a business on EOS. I want to talk to him more anyways.
Yeah, basically, so onboarding.
Right. And so this is, I don't know if it needs to be written down on a list or anything. I'm just mentioning.
Yeah, it is. Explore is the driver though.
Right.
So explore integrating translation, hold on, into the satellite project DS Live. And I got your link and it says they're in the process of redoing their site. We can get them on EOS, onboard their project onto EOS.
Let me, I'm going to just send you a snippet from their about page in the chat. Because they actually, they want to do a fundraising event for Ukraine, I think in the fall or something like that.
Yeah, I'm loving what you're saying about that because it's some on the ground shit. It ends up cut off in the middle of the word for, applications for.
Oh, that's just on their about page. If you go to the link, I can get back there. I don't know why it cut off. Is it on the page like that? Or?
I can go directly to the about thing on that.
Yeah, but their site takes forever to load, and you know they have a lot of just basic.
It's full of audio. Saturday. All right, wait one. Okay, I see the about. Okay.
Yeah, but they've done events in like London and all over the place. And I think the last airing of anything was in 3 years ago. But I guess what happened was one of the primary partners of the business died, and once he died, the business just sort of fell apart. And now the other partners that's still around is now trying to build back together a team to bring back this business. And so Samara wants to use this infrastructure to do events promotion and take a traveling roadshow. That's another story.
Well, it sounds awesome.
But she incidentally is in the San Diego area, the same area where Andrew Ware. I don't know if you know Andrew with Polaris Music.
Oh, I love him. He's neat.
Yeah, I want to get Andrew and Samara talking because her partner is really in the music promotion, and they could probably develop some synergy there.
Let's see. So basically, we're close to being able to do kind of everything in free streams, because if we can get our tech pretty solidified up to projects 10 in total for Translate Me solutions, then we can take on pretty much anything like in stride. So I think our list is okay. I want to get a bunch of stuff on there, but then I want it to take form. And I want to see if we can kind of have fun knocking a handful of these off with other entities that are not part of our team, like finishing all of those filling items, because that's what they do. We're like, hey, can you send this to us? Thanks. Okay. Can you so-and-so? Thanks. Okay, boom. And we just kind of finish off the thing, because we'll just feed it into the mind web. We'll and then the Jesse B's piece will be fading into one of the things that we're mother henning along the way. If there's any miscommunication, shit like that, we'll jump in and we'll right the wrongs or fix it all, because we know we kind of are, our skill set is going to be knowing the big picture when it comes to potential all these value groups across languages. Nobody really has any idea how much energy we're talking about, but it's a lot.
And as far as those ideas that I was suggesting with Vincent and the US Station, I don't mind penciling out more in detail what I'm sort of thinking or how it could work out. Because I mean, there's a lot of, I mean, honestly, like it's almost pointless if in discussion with him, there's no interest. But you know, he might have some premeditated ideas to suggest also. But I think I'd be better off actually just starting with something. So when if I were to try to create some dialogue, I have like something to show, like start with to tear down.
Yeah.
Value.
Yeah. No, I know what you're saying. Well, whatever you're doing, I'd say that seems to be a very brilliant MO.
And I don't know how much permission I need to get from the team. Like if I start brainstorming ideas and wanting to communicate with other people, I sort of figure, well, this is a decentralized, you know, organization, and I'm going to act autonomously, and you know, with the not try to violate trust with the group or do anything, you know.
Yeah, the way I find effective there is primarily speaking, sending out some kind of flag so that you're not the only one that understands or has some kind of concept about what it is that you know. If you share kind of what it is you know, it'll flow pretty well. I love what Oscar keeps saying. Everything I say, he has something that's like that's clear just to say, and I'm like, oh, you know, because I have no idea who Oscar is.
I had a fun time chatting with him, but you know, honestly,
yeah,
but I had a great time.
Yeah, and that's a really cool feature of what of us scoping is bringing that into like housing that once it has kind of burst out and been a real force, because when you toss all that stuff out, that is extremely valuable. So this decentralization, but Dan's further coordination using decentralized technology in the spirit of a larger freedom of liberty is the goal, or whatever we're doing is one of our purposes, at least. But I wanted to see the
you know, the other thing is that DSI thing, say if they're just a for-profit business, there's no reason why we can't offer them a service at a fee, right? Or how would that work?
Translate Me, that's what Translate Me is.
Yeah, right. And so if we could offer them a better fee structure.
We basically can think much more better than a localized corporation as a decentralized you know, as whoever the EOS community is, because we got all of the skills, bro.
Yeah, because that's what I'm thinking is like we should look at every entity, business entity that in any way takes advantage of, say, Translate Me services as, to me, an open candidate for what other kind of EOS solutions can we help them out with, you know?
It's basically a celebration of the old school copy paste. You know what I mean?
Yeah. And that's why when Jesse and I first started interacting and I was like stringing around with that thing, I'm like, I don't want to do this. I don't want to be a glorified button clicker. You know, like I got a greater value than this. Don't you guys have a translation solution out there? Where are they?
Yeah, I can definitely relate. I basically have no intention whatsoever of not being in it for the tech. I always have. I'm not suddenly going to become a bureaucrat.
Well, Mark, I had a great time chatting with you. I think I want to wind this up. I want to get some. I want to get this video uploaded and rendered, because the thing I like about getting it uploaded to YouTube as soon as possible is then my auto caption text appears sooner.
Your auto caption thing, let's put that almost on as a whole nother demo project underway, along with the chatbot, the MindWeb and
It's
ease.
it's just like me just screwing around with my own third-party solution.
It's going to be a poster child for what we're doing for our group and for the translation effort overall. It's going to be beautiful. When you did all that, I was like, oh, I did nothing. I just sat there. I was like, next thing you know, we got a meeting on Tuesday, finishing it all out. I was like, dude, there's a huge future. When I thought of the portal originally, I was like, I want video stream. I want everything fucking translated. I want to sit there and listen to all the Chinese communities play all of their good informational interests and lay everything out. I want to work with Flow, with the Korean communities, the Spanish. Your people that are doing the satellite stuff is perfect because it really digs into new communities and language barrier communities that would never otherwise connect and suddenly be 1,000 times more value added. It's like original trade groups across nations, everybody just like an abundance of value.
And the thing I like about that also is if they have an existing user base that is happy with their product and we get on board with them, then it gives us way more exposure. And it's quite possible, likely that in the long term, if things work out with BSI, that we'll have like an EOS partner, like an advocate. It could quite very well be the case. Like,
I totally see. They're gold. Developers and users are gold. So we're trying to build cool things and everything, but you need the devs and the users. You got to build the whole model thing. Well, you need funding. Okay, got it. But devs, users, yay. Okay, we got the whole thing. So your community across, and we're going to take language out of the picture as far as being one of those things.
Oh, and you know what else I want to do? Listen to Coach Tobias Graf of Jewel Wallet, who's going to be bringing his crypto debit card to the EOS EVM this fall.
What the hell? What?
So yeah, I watched a video made by Helios over a developer who has a ATM card, like a Visa card, that can be used for regular transactions, but it's based on crypto, and it does all the staking and does all the stuff in the background to optimize your assets. But anyways, it's pretty interesting news, and his intent is to launch it on the Trust EVM or bring it to the Trust EVM as soon as it goes live. So we need to make sure that his language translation on his website is adequate. Like, I'll take a look at that and talk to him about it if it isn't.
Hold on, I got to get that thing on there. That's awesome, man. I'm looking at the thing now. So we'll say 9. Who is that? That's I remember his name. What is it again?
Tobias Graf. I'll send you the video. Give me a second.
What's the last name? GRAF?
GARS or F or F. Yeah, GRF. I think.
F as in Frank?
I believe so.
Tobias Graf. And what is his a debit card?
Yeah, let me
coming to EOS. So Tobias Graf has a debit card coming to EOS that needs streamlined for translation. True?
Well, no, I don't. I haven't even looked at his website, but I'm just saying, man, he better have his shit translated to every language. So once it's available for wide scale adoptance, that he's not dealing with people who can't read his stuff because they don't speak English.
So we're the ETF, EOS translation, ETF to explore streamlining translation for it, streamlining the translation function.
Because like I'm looking at his website right now and it looks English only. And oh, another thing, and this is just a side note, my buddy Eric, who is a coder, he was explaining to me there's a React framework that allows you to publish basically desktop, mobile, iPhone, and Android app all in one development framework. It'll take the same stuff. And I thought, man, I'm expecting more tools like that to come out in the future. And that'd be cool to see where they are with their internationalization and language translation. Get in with them while they're still building it.
Yeah, and what are they building? Something that lets you build to all multiple operating systems at once, basically.
Exactly. It pushes the same stuff out to for a desktop version, a mobile web version, an Android app version, and iPhone app version.
And is he at all EOS related?
Well, I don't even know his background. I just caught it on Helios. There's a link I sent in the YouTube video that I watched where he's in a Helios interview. And when I was in the Trust EVM group last night, I mentioned this talk because somebody was asking about a prepaid debit card. And I go, well, this exists, you know, and so that's all I know about it. I just found out about it. This video is only 2 days old.
Well, the technology is really cool and cutting edge for developers. So anything that people are doing that's awesome, they really do want a window into blockchain. And translation could be some kind of a surrogate bridge to bring people into blockchain. When we say, hey, we have like translation solutions. Oh, by the way, this is how we do it. And we will fold all your blockchain stuff into, this is what we do for our trainers. Just here's our button and da 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 da. Well, it could be like, this can be very
The great doorway opens doors. The language.
Yes,
opens doors.
yes, yes. So to users and developers, because what is it? That's gold. So if they have users and developers or just developers for like iOS, mobile platform, blah, 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 then we say, which language looking like? He's like, hadn't even thought of it. We say, well, if you want all 20, 40 languages, yeah. He said, yeah. I say, okay, good. Now you're plugged in, literally, you're using blockchain. They're like, so well, could this be good for us in a long term? They're going to grow toward EOS basically. So, you know, but hey, yeah, probably a good time to wrap it up. We caught a whole bunch of stuff. I put that React framework under ambiguous notes at the bottom, just whatever.
I'll find you a link when I get back to it and see it again. I'll send it to you.
Yeah, and I put you on and Oscar on for being able to put comments on this page somewhere. So I don't know how that's going to look, but we did a good intro on that. I think we're all smart, a lot smarter, and I look forward to seeing how this week goes. And Saturday, hey, recommend populate a list on a little note file to reflect during the meeting on Saturday. So you could say, well, okay, here's what we did. We met to define the scope of the ETF. We so-and-so, so-and-so, so-and-so. We built toward this, and I actually reached out to our own and outside entities. So basically that's good for Fractally because blah, blah, blah. And last week I got a 3 and overall contribution, I've done all this stuff or something. And it's like, try to package that into about 1 minute and then they'll move on and then you vote and you keep getting tokens that way. But those are team funding in the future, basically.
Sure. Cool.
But well, you peace out, man. Hey, great talk.
Take care.